wanted to give you guys a little update, you know, on the M5, what has been going on with the M5, what I've had to fix in the past couple of weeks since I've owned the car. Pretty much just a rundown on the M5. So I've had the car for, I believe, 3 weeks now. So I posted up on Facebook Marketplace for $8,000 to sell it. I've had a lot of people. I've had over 100 people message me about this car, to buy this car. So let's go over some of the things I had to do to the car. I was driving the car the other day, and I pulled up to my buddy Sawwar's house. We were sitting outside of the M5. I had the M5 running because I wasn't going to stay very long, so I just left it running. It's hot out. I had the air conditioning on. So as I was standing there, I listened to the motor, and it was like, I'm like, oh shit, what, bro? Died. The car just completely, it died in his driveway. Thankfully, it died in his driveway and didn't die when I was driving it. What? Come on, let's go. What are we doing here, people? Don't we know how to go around? People don't know how to go around a roundabout. It's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you. God. The car ends up dying in his driveway, and I'm like, well, great. The day before I was driving the car, I was back-roading in it, driving it down the highway, and the red battery light came on. I was like, oh, great, the battery's dead, and the batteries aren't cheap on these cars. You know, they're $150, maybe a little more. So I was like, oh, great, I'm gonna have to replace the battery. And the next day I was like, all right, whatever. I should still be able to drive it a little bit. So I drove it to the gym the next day. The car dies in Sawwar's driveway. I'm like, well, crap. So I diagnose it, and it turns out to be the alternator. So I go up to AutoZone, I buy a battery pack, plug the battery pack into the battery in the trunk. I'm able to drive the car home, which is, you know, it's all fine. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll fix it. So finding an alternator, brand new, they're $300, $400. I was like, nah. No. We ain't paying $400 for a new alternator for a 250,000 mile M5. I found a website that sells, you know, parts off crash cars, I think. And I found the guy that had the alternator for the M5. I think it was in Ohio. And so he shipped me a new alternator for, I think, $100. Cheap, really cheap. It took 2 or 3 days to get. So in the meantime, you know, I took the old alternator off, which was not fun. It's not a fun job to do. It's pretty cramped where the alternator is. You have to take off the power steering pump. You have to take, you know, you have to take down the trays, which I don't have on this car. So that was a plus. I hate taking those plastic trays off the bottom. It's horrible because you can never get them lined up back right. And especially whenever you're just doing it on a couple of ramps in your driveway, it isn't the most fun thing to do. So within the past week, I replaced the alternator. I replaced the rear window regulator, which is broken. I actually had one in my shed that I found. Mosquito bite. I had one in my shed that I found. Luckily, I have no idea how I came across that. One window regulator in my shed was exactly what I needed for the M5. So at one point, I guess I had an E39 that needed a window regulator, and I just ended up not replacing it and probably just sold the car. And so I had the part in the shed. I mean, I don't know how you can get more lucky than that. To take the window regulator out, you have to pull the whole entire window out. Like, the whole window has to come out of the car. You have to take the window out and set it on the ground because there's a screw that bolts the window regulator into the door, and it's behind the damn window. So whoever designed that at BMW deserves a good smack in the face, maybe a little backhand. Works great now, goes up and down just like it should. Yeah, that's a pretty good rundown on what I've had to do to it so far. I mean, it's really just been a great car. I've been driving it every day, keeping me miles off, you know, the M6, which is good.